everyone, I will be talking about demystifying web development. Okay, so when I say demystifying, I actually mean I'll try to clear the air around web development, because even when I started, I was really very confused because there are a lot of resources on the internet. Okay, so it just gets overwhelming for a beginner, and like it's too confusing for someone as a beginner to know how to start and like what to do and all. Okay, so I'll provide a basic guide to what, why, and how of web development. Now, before I start, I would love if you just log into, like, if you just go to slido.com and enter this event code. Okay, so I just have a small question for you, and I would like to know your web development skills. Okay, so if you can just rate your web development skills on slido.com, just go to slido.com and I will activate the poll and I'll enter this is the event code 89510. Okay, 89510. So you can just go to slido.com and enter this event code there. You will see a question which says rate your web development skills on a scale of 0 to 5 stars, so that at least I know my crowd, okay, that what proficiency you all have in web development. So that, okay. So I have 3 votes, all in 1, 2, 3. I'll wait for more people to answer first. Okay, so most of you I can see are beginners in it. That's okay. That's nice. I'll wait for some more time because there's a crowd of 50 people, so I can have more votes, I think. Okay, some people have rated themselves 5 stars. That's good. Okay, that's really good. Yeah, okay, so I get the feel of it. Most of you are beginners, some of you are experts, like complete experts. Alright, it's good to see that people are interacting. It's really good to see that 33 people have voted. That's a great number for me. Okay, so alright, I'll move ahead. So what is web development? Okay, now web development in simple terms, if I say, is the work that goes into developing a website for the internet. Okay, so now when you develop a website, there are 2 sides to it, and I think you must have heard these terms before: frontend and backend. Okay, so there are 2 kinds of work: front-end work and the back-end work, and when you develop websites, okay, web applications, these range from, you can like create something as simple as maybe a text editor or something, even your portfolio website, that's a great beginning, okay, to something as large as an e-commerce giant or maybe a social network if you want to develop. Okay, so that is basically web development, and I won't spend much time on this because it's pretty basic. Okay. Now, why web development? Okay, this question really needs to be answered so that all of you get the hang of it, like why you should learn web development. It's a great stepping stone. Okay, now web development is really recommended for anyone who is getting started with coding. Why? Because it's super easy to get started. Okay, like if you have not done development before, and if you didn't have a coding background in your 11 or 12, okay, and you have just came into engineering college, then if you want to start with coding, you should definitely take a shot at web development. Okay, and the fundamentals, the HTML and the CSS of web development, most probably many of you must have done it in your grade 11 and 12, right? So the fundamentals are very basics here. Okay, So you get the hang of it very early on. So it's really easy for beginners. So if you're a complete newbie to the coding field, you should go for web development. And also I'm saying it's a great stepping stone, because when you do web development, it's very easy for you to switch to different fields. Okay, like you can switch to mobile application development, you can switch to desktop application development, you can develop command line interface. So you can do all of that. Okay, if you start with it just gets easy to switch into different fields. Okay. Now the second point is it presents many opportunities, and I'm saying that because see, the web is everywhere, right? Everyone needs websites and everyone will always need it. So be it a product or a service or a startup or maybe even a freelancer, suppose an ML enthusiast, he needs a portfolio website, right? Or maybe tech giants or government organizations. So any and every business ever will need a website, because right now everything is on the internet. Okay, everything has to be on the internet, and how can you be on the internet? Through a website, right? So this goes without saying that web development will pose many opportunities to you. It will present many opportunities for you, and you can also contribute to open source if you do web development, and if you get hold of JavaScript and all, it becomes easy for you to contribute to open source. So that's another opportunity which web development will host. Quick side projects. Okay, so I'll talk about it with an example. Okay, let me just give an example. So one of my friends, he did competitive coding in his first year and second year, and he's super good at it. Okay, he does really nice competitive coding. He's 4-star in CodeChef and all. But right now, for an internship, when he was applying, he had to create a CV, right? Now to create the CV, he needed that project section. Okay, there's a project section in the CV. Now what to add in the project section? He has only done coding, right? So he switched to web development, and in lockdown itself, he did web development. He made projects so that he could add it there. So that's really nice. So web development will really provide you nice side projects within weeks. Okay, if you start, it will provide you some projects within weeks. Again, if you are in your third year, fourth year, okay, and you haven't done anything technical in your first or second year, okay, but now you are setting for jobs or placement or anything like that, so you should you can just start with web development, because it will show on your portfolio very nice. Okay, you will have projects, and you will have some technical knowledge too. Okay, if you have not given yourself much time, then you can leave some time here. Okay. So now I pose the third question as how to get started with the web development. Now before answering that, the question I need to answer is, how does the web work? Okay. So basically what happens, suppose you type the website's name, let the website be DSCIM's website only. So you type the website dscim.github.io on the URL, on the address bar of your web browser. Okay. So what happens next? The website gets rendered. Okay, but there was a series of activities which went on from you pressing the enter to the site being rendered. Okay, so what happened between all of these? Now, the web browser you are using doesn't have the code of DSCIM. Okay, I'm just taking DSCIM's website as an example. So the web browser which you are using doesn't have the source code of DSCIM's website, right? So where is the source code of DSCIM website? Anyone can answer, they can unmute. Where do you think from web browser will get the DSCIM's source code? Okay, so since nobody is speaking,
where it is hosted. For example, the current website is hosted on GitHub, right? So from the that GitHub pages deployment, it will get the source file.
Okay, and how does it know where is the GitHub pages deployment? There's a particular term I'm asking for, and you must have got that. Where is the website's source code hosted?
Okay, whom do you blame if you don't get to see the results?
Sorry.
Yeah, the server.
The server, right? Okay, we'll just wait. I think the presentation is strong. At present again. Okay, so basically the browser will need to go to the server, right? To the server where the source code of the DSCIM's website is there. Okay, so let me just go to the So the browser will need to go to that server where the source code of DSCIM's website is there. Now, how does the browser know what is the address of that server? Okay, so there's a thing called IP address which is specific for every server. So now, how does the browser here know the IP address of the server where the DSCIM's website source code is there? Can anybody answer that? Like, you must have seen the slides. Still, can anyone answer that? Is my question clear? How does the browser know which IP address to look for if it wants DSCIM's source code? Okay, so let me answer that. So you enter dscim.github.io on the address bar. Now, the web browser is programmed. Okay, the web browser has the location of a DNS server. Okay, so a DNS server is basically a dictionary. It's kind of a dictionary which holds the domain name. Domain is dscim.github.io. Okay, so DNS server holds the domain name and the address of the specific server where DSCIM is hosted. So what DNS server will do, it will give browser the IP address of the DSCIM website. So it will tell web browser that here it is, this is the IP address, go to this IP address and here you will find DSCIM's source code. Thus, now the web browser goes to that IP address. Okay, that IP address is basically the address of the server, right? And it will get the code and the site is rendered. Okay. So I hope this part is clear. So if you have any questions, you can ask me. This part was pretty important and pretty basic, and many of us skip this while learning web development, and so we always get confused between client side and server side. So are there any questions? No. Yeah, that's good. Okay, that's good that all of you understood. So, yeah.
Rita, there's a question that could you please explain the pathway once more?
Yeah, definitely. So, okay, so we come here. So now you entered dscim.github.io in the address bar, right? Now browser doesn't understand what these terms mean, what GitHub means, what IO means, what DSC means. It doesn't understand that, okay? The browser knows one person, which is DNS server. Okay, DNS servers are just one of the many special servers on the internet. Okay, so browser only knows DNS server. So browser goes to DNS server and tells that hey, the client is asking, the client has sent something like this, dscim.github.io, and it wants me to render the website. Okay, by render I mean to show the website. Okay, so the browser asks the DNS server, please tell me where can I find the source code of DSCIM. Okay, so it will ask the DNS server. The DNS server holds the DNS server holds basically it's like a dictionary. Okay, so it holds a list of all the domain names and it holds a list of IP addresses. Okay, so DNS server will look and tell that hey, this is DSCIM's IP address. Okay, now that IP address, server has an address, okay, which is unique to it. So it will tell the address of the server where it can find DSCIM's code. Okay, so now the web browser has the address of DSCIM server. It will go there, okay, and it will get the code. So I think, is your doubt clear? Like, whoever asked, I can't see the chat right now.
Santan, is your yeah, it's clear. You can go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So any more questions? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
So we can go ahead. So now, from the previous explanation, I think you must have understood that there are two sides to development. One is the browser side, okay, the other is the server side. Now, browser side is mainly used for rendering data. Okay, you can't use data on the client side. And server side is mainly used for maintaining the data, because suppose if it's a bank's server, okay, now bank's server would hold a database with many users, their account information and all. All those can't be stored on the client side, and they shouldn't be stored on the client side. So all of that are stored on the server side. So that's the server, okay, one of the bank's server. And when you log into your account, suppose, so they will just render the data you need, okay, the render data specific to you. Okay, so that's the portion of rendering the data takes place in the client side, and the portion of maintaining the data takes place in the server side. Okay, and when I say client side, server side, it only means a code getting executed on the client's web browser, or the code is getting executed on a server. Okay, server is just a computer on a remote location. Okay, server. So that's about it. And now client side has faster response time, as I think you can understand. There's not a whole lot of protocol involved of the web browser going to a DNS, connecting to a server, getting the IP address and all. And server side is slower fundamentally, because I think you can understand it has to go through a lot of protocols. Okay, client side is synonymous to front end, server side is synonymous to backend. So you must have seen people saying that I'm a front end developer, people saying I'm a backend developer. Okay, so now I think you must know what do they actually mean when they say they are a backend developer. When they say they are a backend developer, it means they work on the server side. It means they handle the data which is on the server side. When someone says they are a front-end developer, it means they handle the data which is on the client side, okay, which is rendered basically the HTML, the CSS, and the JavaScript. Now, one more important thing, when we talk about client side, okay, JavaScript, HTML, and CSS are three important and are the three fundamental and are the three must-know languages if you have to be a front-end developer. Okay, so you can't omit one or two of it. You have to know all three, HTML and CSS and JavaScript. Okay, so client side is really so for client side or for being a front-end developer, you have to know all three of these. For the server side, you have different programming languages like Python, Ruby on Rails, PHP, Node.js. Okay, and server side, like you can select any of these which you want to work with, maybe like Python or Node.js. I work in Node.js. Okay, I write server side code in Node.js. You can select Python or maybe PHP. So you have a choice here, but in client side you do not have a choice. You have to go with HTML and CSS or JavaScript. Right? So moving on, I hope this part is clear. Just moving on. How to get started with the web development. So the $1 million question. The question you must have asked Google a lot of times before this session. Okay. First things first, learn HTML and CSS. You really can't be a web developer if you do not know HTML and CSS. These are the basics, and every day a new framework, a new JavaScript framework will come and go. But HTML and CSS and JavaScript, these are the basics. You must know them. You can't leave them, and you can't avoid them if you want to be a web developer. You have to know them. Okay, I'm not saying just get into advanced HTML and CSS right now, no, but if you are just beginning, know how to write HTML code, know how to write CSS code, know about transitions, know about animations, okay, animations which you can do using CSS, know about mouse click events which you can do using CSS, know how to show like a map on the website using HTML. So do those things. Okay, make your basics very clear, because your basics will stay with you. Web development is continuously evolving. Okay, every day new frameworks come. There are a lot of frameworks, lot of libraries, everything. But HTML and CSS and JavaScript won't ever be replaced, right? JavaScript. Now JavaScript is a really, really, really important language, and I can't just stress upon the fact like how important JavaScript is. And I'm saying that because see, JavaScript is everywhere. Okay, I've developed bots with JavaScript. You can develop desktop applications with JavaScript. You can do mobile applications with JavaScript. You can also like contribute to open source. Like I have contributed to open source in October in this month itself. Okay, so you can scrape the web using JavaScript. Okay, so JavaScript is the best thing that will ever happen to you, and trust me on this. So get your basics of JavaScript really very clear, because this is really important. Like if you have the basics clear, right, then you can of course any day understand all those frameworks, those cool frameworks, React.js, Node.js, and all those. They will become very easy if you just have the basics of your JavaScript clear. Okay, we will be having JavaScript sessions in the future. Okay, so now talking of since I just mentioned React and Node, it seems correct now to talk about the major languages and the frameworks. Okay, so now JavaScript is really important, as I have said. But if you think you have enough decent knowledge of JavaScript and you are going for a framework, or you are going to learn, you are like confused whether you should do React or Angular or something. So I will just say that React and Angular both, if you keep the industry in mind, so industrial demand, they both have like if you compare in regards to the industrial demand, they both are equal. Okay, but React.js is easier to begin with, and I started with React.js, so you should go for React.js. And Node.js is used for server side, so that's not an option. If you are doing server side with JavaScript, you should do Node.js. Again, there are many JavaScript frameworks. I have only mentioned 3 of them because the internet is already a lot confusing. I didn't want this slide to be confusing also. So I have just mentioned the important ones, the ones you should know if you want to be a developer. And Python is used for server-side programming. So if you're going for Python, there are 2 frameworks available, Django and Flask. We will have Django sessions in the future, and you can select any of them, and you can select any of them, and you can learn about it, Django or Flask. If we consider PHP, now the other day, I just read a survey which said that PHP is the most hated programming language. Okay, so PHP is a little sad, but and there are 2 frameworks for PHP, Laravel and CodeIgniter. These are just, I wrote them, but I don't have much knowledge about PHP because the other day I was rejected for an internship because I didn't know PHP. So I won't speak much about PHP, but PHP is equally important. If you go to LinkedIn and search for job opportunities, right, you will see that every company still wants PHP. So it's the most hated programming language, but it is still in demand, right? For CSS, you don't need to learn Bootstrap or something. I've just mentioned Bootstrap, Bulma, Materialize. There are many UIKit, Foundation. There are many CSS frameworks, but you do not need them because you just need to get you need to have your CSS basics clear, and you should have you should use Bootstrap in few projects so that you know how to use Bootstrap, because Bootstrap is really an easy framework to know, and I started with Bootstrap. So Bootstrap is really nice. If you know HTML, CSS and Bootstrap, you can develop a basic website. Okay, so the first website I developed was with HTML, CSS and Bootstrap. Okay, and if you know HTML, CSS, Bootstrap and JavaScript, then you can really develop your portfolio website completely. You can develop your resume website, as we see, portfolio website. Databases, I mentioned them here because database is an important part of development, but I don't want to talk about it in details because as I have seen already, all of you or many of you are beginners. Okay, so right now if you're just starting, you don't need to be concerned about databases at all. But if you are if you have done sufficient coding and now you are going to databases, then PostgreSQL or MongoDB, these are some which you should take care of. Okay. Now again, I'm mentioning there are a lot of databases, there are a lot of CSS frameworks, there are a lot of JS frameworks. I have written here some of them which are really important, which have a huge demand in the industry. I'll just mention them, okay, so that you don't get yourself confused more. Okay, so do not get confused, and these are the ones I would like to talk about. I have talked about. Next, learn how to use a content management system. Now, I'm not saying like you must be confused. Like, okay, let me just tell you what is a content management system first. So, if most of you must have heard about WordPress, right? So, WordPress is a CMS. Why? Because to use a CMS, you do not need to know how to code or how to build a website completely. You can develop a website through it using their UI only. Okay. But content management system is important. I have added this also from the internship point of view, because I have seen a lot of internships requiring WordPress as a skill, okay, as a needed skill. So I've added it with that point of view. You should have knowledge of CMS, WordPress, or Drupal or Joomla. This should be on your roadmap. This should be on your this should be on your mind. Okay, you have to learn that because that's important. It's a great add-on for your resume. Now it's time for some pro tips, because I have done web development. I have done enough research, so I think I'm credible enough to tell you and share some pro tips with you all. Okay. Google. So yes, Googling is an art, okay, and not everybody knows how to Google. Like, I have received messages like how to set up C++ for VS Code, like how to set up a server for my PHP code. Okay, I'm not saying these are dumb questions, or like I'm not saying these questions shouldn't be asked, but you should first research about it, right? The most important, the most beautiful thing about development is research, trying to find a solution to your problem. So Google things first. Do not just ask your friend. Do not just copy your friend's VS Code setup. Okay, your friend must have a cool VS Code setup, and you will ask all the extensions and all the tweaks. Don't do that. Research yourself. Do your research, because that's the fun side of development. And if you're not doing it, you are not a developer. Trust me, you will have to every time research things. Nobody will I can help you once or twice, but next time you have to learn how to Google. Okay, so please learn how to Google. Do not ever copy code. This is the worst thing ever to do to yourself. Okay, you will be cheating yourself, and this won't result in anything good, right? So yes, of course I told you to search for a solution, right? In the previous thing, I told you to Google. Google, if you face a problem, understand why you couldn't find the solution, why you yourself couldn't find the solution, right? And then understand the code, understand the answer which the internet provides you, and then try to code it. Okay, do not copy the code blindly, like many people do it in initial days of coding. Okay, maybe to just appear cool, or to maybe just flex or anything. But do not do that. At the end, it won't give you any good. It won't result you in anything fruitful, and that will just be a waste of your time. Okay, you will do 2 months of coding by just copying code. Okay, and at the end of 2 months, you won't have anything substantial left in your head. So do not ever copy code. Okay. Refer official documentations. Okay, so I got this tip in a webinar which I attended, and this was the most useful takeaway, that we should always refer to official documentations. Many of us do not have that habit in us right now. Okay, like even I inculcated this habit much later after I started development. I used to just Google things. Okay, but go to the official documentation of whatever the framework or the language or whatever the library you are using. Okay, and try to get hold of the original concepts. Okay, because in the official documentation you will get what exactly does that languages, maybe some module or something wants to do. Okay, so the official documentation is the best place to solve your doubts, and this link which I provided, devdocs.io, this is a really nice link, and if you go there, devdocs.io, if you go there, there are many like frameworks there are, and there are documentations of many programming languages and frameworks. Okay, so you should just save that in your mind, or maybe just visit that link once. Just get started, right? See, the deeper you dive into these resources, right, there will be more and more resources, and it will all get complex. So I will just say that start coding. Okay, at the end of the day, you have to code, right? You just don't need resources. You just don't need a list of languages you need to do, a list of frameworks you need to do. Just don't make those lists or bookmark pages or save to watch later the YouTube tutorials which you have always been wanting to do, right? Get started, get coding, write code. Until unless you write code, you wouldn't know anything about it first. So get started. Just do things. Okay. Take things as they come. Yes. You can't learn everything because I'm saying that you can't actually make a foolproof plan of all the things you will be learning. Okay. You can't just see that okay, today I'm doing HTML, for 3 days I will do that, for 2 days I will do that. No. Prioritize things. Just have one thing in your mind. Like if you have done HTML and CSS before, like make a note of it in your mind that you will revise your HTML CSS basics in 2 days and then you will go with JavaScript. Okay. Otherwise, if you have decent skills in HTML and CSS and you're starting with JavaScript, just make a note of it in your mind that okay, I will do JavaScript today. Okay, but don't just chalk out plans and don't just do all of it. Okay, you have to start somewhere, right? So just start it now. Prioritize. Just take one thing in your head, like be it JavaScript, or if you have JavaScript, okay, I will now learn React. Okay, if you have done enough React, okay, now I will do Node, or maybe I'll do a database. I'll learn about databases. Okay, take things as they come. Take things one by one. Do not get lost. Do not get lost. There are a lot of resources, and I was really very baffled when I started. Really baffled. Okay, there were many resources, and then I had to take this thing. I had to keep this thing in my mind every time. That no, I won't see here or there. I'll just one thing in my mind. I have to learn React.js, and I would just code in React.js. Okay, I won't think of anything else. So you have to do that. Okay. Build projects, of course, because if you do not build projects, you know that there are 3 types of variable declarations in JavaScript: var, let, const. But you haven't done any project, so you won't know what is the use of var, what is the use of let, what is the use of const, right? So you need to develop projects and develop projects from the very beginning. It's not that if you only know HTML, you can't build something. You can build something from just using HTML. You can build something using HTML and CSS. So the more the skills you learn, just keep on adding and keep on making projects, because those projects are your portfolio, right? How will you say someone that you're a full stack web developer? You can't just go and say. You have to show them some websites. Okay, like when even I was being recruited as the web team lead, I showed some of the projects which I did. Okay, from the very start to the very end. Okay, so that people know that I am actually capable of things. I'm not just showing off. I'm not just showing off the title of being a full stack web developer. I have my GitHub profile which will prove that I am a full stack web developer. Okay, so just build your portfolio and make projects from the very start. Don't be don't be like I'm the first year, right? I will study for 1 year only and then I will make projects. I will study theory now and then I will code. No, do things as they come, as I said. Okay, and do things parallelly. Build projects, learn tutorials, see tutorials, then write code and build projects. Okay, do all of these parallelly and keep on doing that. Okay, so now I've had a HTML and CSS quiz planned for all of you, because I need to know the proficiency your proficiency, as you all mentioned in the first slide, that many of you know the basics. So I just have a small HTML and CSS quiz. So again, just log into slido.com and code is this 89510. I'll activate the quiz. 1 second. Okay, so the quiz is activated. You can join. Just go to slido.com and enter that event code 89510. Okay, so you people have joined, right? I think you can answer questions, right? The quiz is live. Yeah. Okay, I can see the results here.
Rita, do them one at a time, otherwise
Oh,
another
okay.
will be.
Yeah, I was just guessing that only. So I've done this.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Let's wait for, maybe we can do it like 20 people answer.
Yes, definitely. So should I open the first question again? Should I go there?
Yeah, start with the first
Okay,
one.
I'm just starting with the first question. So if some of you have not answered, you can, and then I'll move on to the second. I didn't know how this happens.
Yeah, it's
So if anyone wants to answer, we have 18 people have already answered, and most of them have answered. So okay, since there are no more answers, this is the right answer. Doctype HTML tells the web browser that the HTML, whatever you will see, is the HTML5 code. Okay, so it will parse it accordingly. I am opening the second question, so you can answer the second question. It's easier. It's easier. Okay. Okay, 24 people have answered. That's nice. That's really nice. Do not Google, okay? I said learn how to Google, but don't Google these answers. Okay. Okay, 34 people have answered, and yes, majority has answered the correct option. If you need to open a link in a new browser window, you should write target equal to underscore blank. Okay. So we have answers for this. Okay, so the maximum people answered wrong here. If you want to, you would use iframe for embedding a map from Google Maps in your website. Okay. Since the answer is revealed here, I think I'll move on. Okay, I'll move on. This one is really easy. This is pretty easy question, pretty easy answer. So no one is answering. Okay. No one answering. Okay. Okay. So the audience is completely divided for this one. Okay. So the correct answer is C, because it's like top, right, bottom, left. Okay. So it goes like that. So yes, most of you have answered it correctly. Now, which prefix do you need to get CSS3 properties to work on older Mozilla Firefox browsers? This can be a bit hard, I think, but still, I hope many of you will answer. Okay, I thought this was hard, but people are giving correct answers. Good. Good to see that. Yeah, okay. So dash MOZ is the correct answer. And 35 people have answered it, which is really very nice of you. You people are a positive audience. Thank you for being such a great audience. Okay, I'll make this question right. What does the A stand for in RGBA? So if you have used this in CSS, you mention RGB values and then there is a A which is a value in decimal. Okay, so what does that A stand for? Okay, so most of you have answered it correctly. Those who have not, do not worry. We will have a session in HTML and CSS. I think we will have. Okay, so this is the last question. How to rotate objects using CSS3? This one is also pretty basic, so you can answer this. Alright. I'll wait for more people to answer. 35 is the standard number. 2 people more if just 2 more people need to vote their answers.
We have 34 people in the poll actually.
Right. Okay, let it be. The second option was the correct option. So if you want to rotate, this is the correct option. Yeah, okay, this is the correct option. Okay. So yeah, it was nice to see that people are actually interacting. Thank you so much for answering. Leaderboard, will it show the leaderboard? Oh, great. Oh, great. I didn't know it would show it like this. Anish was in the... Okay, did Anish give himself 5 out of 5 in the first quiz, in the first step, or rate your skills? You could, I think. No worries. I'm not here to judge anyone from their marks. That was a good quiz. That was a nice quiz. Okay. So just go back to this. So if you have any questions, that's basically the end of it. So if you have any questions, you can ask. Also, if you were benefited by this session, or if you have to ask something or you have to say something, you can say here. The poll is now active and I would love to take some questions if you have. This was a pretty small session because I wanted to keep it introductory only. I didn't want to bombard all those frameworks and libraries on you. Okay, so okay, thank you. Yeah. So out of 35, almost people, 2 people felt it was a great session. 3 people.
We have 61 people still here, so at least
Okay.
10 of you can respond.
Yeah, if 61 people are there, then I won't close this poll before there are 35 rejects. I won't do it. So all of you just answer.
Yeah, and if you want to ask anything, you can unmute and ask because
Yes. Or you can,
nobody is delivering anything.
yes, you can
Or
do
you
that.
can just use the Q&A side of the Slido and put your question there if you want to post it anonymously.
Okay, yes, there are some questions. You can ask.
And if you want to ask anything, go ahead.
Or maybe unmute, anything.
We have questions in the Q&A. You can go in the Q&A tab, Nita.
Okay. From where to start HTML, CSS, JavaScript for beginners? From where to start? Okay. See, if I can suggest you YouTube channels because that's where I started. I didn't do many Udemy courses or anything like that. So I started with HTML and CSS from the UC Traversy Media, JavaScript Mastery. These are some YouTube channels which are great. Okay, so Traversy Media or JavaScript Mastery, Programming with Mosh. that's a really good channel because it provides you crash courses. Okay, so that's really good. And that's pretty much about it. Or else, if you are there in the Discord, I will share some resources in the web development channel. Okay, so I'll share that if you're on Discord server. If you're not, just join the Discord server. And I have a basic knowledge of front-end. Now how to proceed to back-end. So in front-end, see, if you have if you have a pretty basic knowledge of JavaScript, then if you're switching to backend, you should go for Node.js. Okay, because Node.js is super easy to begin with, and pretty much it handles everything at the backend. So you should do Node.js. And for Node.js again, you have Traversy Media courses, the Net Ninja, that is also a nice YouTube channel. So refer them, or I can share some specific resources in the Discord. Okay, as I told, I'll share them. Okay, I feel great that 33 people were benefited by this session. So thank you for it. Please share that YouTube links in Discord. Yes, I will do it. Besides that, I just started with learning HTML now, but in which platform I can practice to do the codes? Okay. See, the best way is suppose think of something maybe you want to create. Okay, so maybe just try to recreate some clone. Okay, now with HTML only you won't be able to create the whole clone, but try. Suppose you just take a website, maybe Google's search page. Okay, the Google home page which comes to it. So try to clone that with HTML. Okay, you would be able to do that. You will also need some CSS, but I think you just started with HTML, so you will do CSS also. Okay, so do that to practice. And so the best way to practice is to make clones, or just think of a project and do that. Platform specific, it's not competitive coding, so I can't think of a platform right now. And I also don't think you can go to W3 schools because they have that try practice session, they have that try now. Okay, so there you can of course change the code and try and a lot, so you can do that. Okay, I have worked with SQLite databases. Now I'm not sure how to proceed with NoSQL databases. How to start? That's what actually I wanted to say in the session. Okay, just get started. Think of any NoSQL database which you want to learn. Okay, so and just get started with it. Learn it. Just see. Okay, how to get started? The best way is to search for a crash course on the YouTube. Okay, that's how I do things. Or maybe search for a playlist. Okay, and then see that. Okay, get your concepts. Try and create. In many of the YouTube videos, you will see they always create create some project or something. Okay, so try to do that yourself. If you are able to do it, that's nice. You have got hold of the concepts. If you are not, redo things, relearn things. Go again to your move again. Go to the documentation. Okay, so how to start? One stop. One word answer would be just go and start a course. Okay, and if you search on YouTube, of course the first whatever the first results will be there, they are of course the ones which are most viewed, right? So they are of course good. It's not that those videos are bad and you should not follow something on that. Okay, so just go to YouTube, search for NoSQL database which you want to learn about. Okay, MongoDB is a nice one. Okay, whatever. So go there and search for a crash course on it and just do it. Which compiler I can use to do this? Is it necessary to learn HTML and CSS? I want to work only Django or Flask. Or basic knowledge is required. See, if you want to work on the backend only, I think you can go with it, Django, Flask or Django. HTML and CSS, see, if you do not have a basic knowledge, it will always be appreciated if you have your basics clear, right? So there's nothing you should it's necessary to learn or something, but HTML and CSS are actually a must. Okay, you should have your basics clear. These you should you are saying you're a web developer, and then people will of course assume you know HTML and CSS, and you say no, I only work on Django Flask. So I don't think that should be a point. If you have done Django or Flask, you should of course be able to learn HTML and CSS also. That's not very difficult or something. So you should go about it. You should basic knowledge. You should of course have a basic knowledge about things. Okay, I should do this, right? Yeah. I will share the YouTube links. Which side is more enjoyable and which side developers are paid more? You know who are paid more? Full stack developers. So both of the sides are enjoyable, and backend is I think paid more. Okay, so which side is more enjoyable? It's totally upon you.
See, when I say about the paid part of it is that, I was talking to a few people, and it's like it totally depends on your skill set. There are people who can make UIs which are very beautiful and very attractive, so they have the chance to get paid more. It's
Yeah,
about
yeah.
your, how good you are at it. That is what gets you paid.
Yes, exactly. So I hope your answer question is using Tailwind CSS a good plan always if you do not like to write CSS? Yes, just get things done. Okay, at the end of the day, you need to create a website. So if you're able to create it using Tailwind CSS, that's of course a good plan. If you want to use Bootstrap, that's also a good plan. Okay, if you do not like to write CSS, I can't force you, right? If you're getting the things done, if your client doesn't have a problem, if you are delivering a good website, that won't anyways be a problem, right? So just do things. These won't really matter. Any more questions there? "35 people answered." So these 35 people are actually active everywhere. So I'm just grateful to you. And that's about it. That was the session. And I think if you have any more questions, I don't think there are any more questions.
I don't know what the question is, but the timing. This 1 hour is about to end.
Yeah, because I know I myself can't sit for in one place for more than 1 hour. I can't do that, and I didn't want people to be confused with many. I didn't want to bombard resources upon them. Okay, so I just kept it simple and to the point. Only the things you need to do, you should learn about, you should research about. Don't surf unnecessarily.
This is actually very true, because running after resources, the sources that we have, if you don't use it, it's no point.
Yes, of course, that's the thing. If you search for web developer roadmap, you will get a yes, you will get a roadmap which is of the entire IT department. That is not a web developer. Okay, so do not do that thing. Don't get lost in all of that. Just start doing things. Start doing JS after this session maybe, or do React if you want to. Do anything which you want to, but do things and don't go after resources. That's the whole gist of the session. Because I did that and I got lost. So I know that feeling. Don't waste your time.